Hi, I'm Michelle Holbrook, and thank you again for returning today to this video. This one, I have to say, is very passionate to me. We are speaking on addiction, and I'm here to introduce my son, Chandler Cook, who is a recovering addict. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and tell others a little bit about yourself before we even get started.
So I have been in recovery since August 16th, 2018. We celebrate a year next month, so some people say I'm still early recovery, but I think it's a long road and ahead, and I'm happy to be where I am today. So I come from a really good family. My dad was a car salesman. My mom was a stay-at-home mom for a long time. We moved around a lot, and we were the typical white picket fence family. Addiction was never really prevalent in our family, or if it was kind of laid under the covers and never really spoken about. So for me, for my addiction, it was I think the first addiction in the family that actually caused some turmoil in our family, and so.
Well, Chandler, I want to say thank you for being here. As you know, this is very passionate to me because you are my son and I love you. So, and as you know, we have to raise awareness and we have to remove the stigma. I'm going to ask you a few questions. How old were you when you started using drugs?
The first time I used, I was 13. I started, after, you and Dad and my parents divorced, I started, skateboarding a lot and kind of getting out of everything that I was raised around, churches and things like that. And it was more started as I wanted to find myself, and I started drinking a little bit and started smoking pot with kids in the neighborhood skateboarding. And so around 13 I started smoking pot.
And then from pot, where did it go from there?
So I smoked pot from, I'd say, around the age of 13, heavily, and started drinking around then. And then around high school, there started to be more house parties, and using in high school, it's just, it's the cool thing to do, and people don't look down on it, especially, people don't think about addiction or the path that it can take you at that age. So I started using cocaine every now and then once I got in high school, and painkillers around then, and that's kind of when it started going downhill. I didn't realize I was an addict really until I'd say at about 19 years old, and I hurt my shoulder, and I was put on painkillers, and I got off them, and I got sick when I got off them, and that's when it went from getting painkillers from the doctor to finding them on the street and having to have them. And I think that's when I really realized, like, this is a lifestyle and I can't live without drugs or alcohol.
So after the opioids, as far as the painkillers, where did you go after that?
So in Florida, back when I was around 19 or 20 in Florida, there was things called pill mills in South Florida. So that's when it really started to get bad. When I was 20 years old, we'd go down to South Florida to pill mills, to underground doctors that would sell us 200 oxycodones for dirt cheap, and we'd come back up, and that's when I'd say the dealing on my part started. We'd start selling them to go make money to go back down there to get the pills we needed, and that's really when I started losing things and started seeing it and started losing weight and started having relationship problems with my family, and that's when things really started going downhill. And from there, they cut off the pill mills, and once you don't have that, it goes to the next cheapest thing, which turned out to be heroin that started coming around.
You died of a drug overdose, and they brought you back to life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that was your rock bottom?
I do. And I've heard from, a lot of people say, and a lot of therapy groups and meetings, your rock bottom is when you stop digging. And I think I've had a few rock bottoms. I had a great chance at a school at Full Sail University when I was going there, and before even the overdose happened, years before that, and I threw that away because I was too busy getting high, and I couldn't focus on school. I had to get up and go get my fix. And I got myself clean from that a little bit, and then, I didn't really understand that addiction is a daily fight. It's not something you can just get yourself clean and it's over. It's something you have to fight every day. So I ended up back on drugs, and it was actually my grandmother's birthday in 2017. I overdosed in a Denny's parking lot on heroin, and I would have died if it had been any other time of the day. It was during the lunch rush, and luckily, a concerned citizen walked by, and she ended up calling the ambulance, and they came by, and my heart had been stopped for, they said, at least 5 minutes. I was turning blue, and they said, if they hadn't got there within the minute, I would have passed away. So I think that was really when my eyes were awakened, like, wow, this is life or death. I've died from this, I've lost my family, I've lost my daughter. And I think that's really, and it's addiction. Even when that happened, I went home and got high that same day. It's not like I just was ready to give up. It took a few more months till I was finally like, something has to change. And that's when I really decided to go into the path of recovery.
I can remember having people do wellness checks on you because I was so scared. And, people talk about tough love, and it's honestly, I heard something the other day, which is so true. I read an article, and I try to read up as much as I can on this, and I read an article about tough love, whether it works or not. And one thing it said, and I tried tough love, as you know. I tried everything that I could, screaming, yelling, crying, turning away, going back, trying to do everything that I could. But this article said, it's not the tough love that works, but it's the boundaries that you have to set around your own self. So I feel like I had to set those boundaries for me. As my son, I am going to ask you this. Is there something you would have had us as parents do differently, do you think?
Not necessarily. I think, addiction hits family members, it hits everyone different. It's a tough pill to swallow. You want to be angry, you want to shake it into me that you don't need to be like this. And at the same time, when you're in addiction and you have that haze over you, it's not like you can, you don't see it. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you don't see what the family's going through at all. It really took going through sobriety and really researching addiction and how it hijacks the brain and seeing things from other people's point of views and different families to really realize, okay, well, this is how my parents saw me and this is what I was doing to them. Because at the time, you don't really understand you're hurting other people. You're just doing what you need to do to survive. Your brain's hijacked and it's telling you, you need this drug, you need this drug. It's like a life or death thing for you to take it as well. So I wouldn't say there's anything, you could have done differently. I believe that no matter what, I think that parents need to love their, I think addicts need love from not only parents, but from everyone. And that's one thing that society has pushed away, that they're scumbags, they're junkies, and they don't deserve love. And I hate that, because I think the people that need it the most are the people, especially newcomers and, recovery centers. Those are the people that need love the most, because if you're trying to get yourself better, that's the biggest fight you can do, and that's beautiful to see. And so I think everyone, even people that aren't at that point yet, need to be shown love. I think at the same time, there's a difference between loving people and enabling people. So I think you definitely don't enable it. The last thing you want to see is your kid sick, or someone you love sick, and you want to give them money and you want to help them out, but just love them. You can't do that. Enabling them is going to dig their grave for them. So.
Do you, and one thing you said that is so true, people think that because you are an addict, you're a scumbag, or, you're nothing but dirt. I know differently. I've met so many individuals, and I have lived with it with you. 100%, do you feel it's a disease?
100%, yeah. And that's the biggest argument I'd say about recovery is, well, this is a disease, well, you caused it on yourself, but there's plenty of diseases such as lung cancer, diabetes, there's tons of diseases that are self-inflicted. That doesn't take away it being a disease, and everyone deserves a chance to get better.
That's a great answer, thank you. You're speaking to our children and young adults today. What do you say to them?
I'd say if you feel, you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, reach out and get help. And especially getting in recovery, for me at least, even now, it's hard to, and especially at the beginning, it's hard to look in the future and say, well, I'm going to be sober for the rest of my life. And that's, it sounds cliche that they say take it one day at a time, but I think that's the best advice I've ever received, because it gets overwhelming to look forward in 10 years and be like, oh, well, I'm going to be sober for the next 10 years, but I know for the rest of today that I'm not going to use, and tomorrow I'm not going to use, and you take those baby steps, and next thing you turn around and you've been sober for, your 1 year is coming up. So just take it by today. If you don't use for today, wake up tomorrow and try and do it over again.
What do you say to the parents?
Love your children, don't enable them, but always be an open door and an open book for them to talk to. Don't judge. None of us are perfect, and we've all had our battles, and life's hard, and we all need support.
Why were you willing to speak out today?
I want to see the stigma of addiction be dropped. I want to see this country get better. I had a tough battle with it, and my battle still, it's a lifelong thing. I'm excited about it now. I've seen over this past year things come back into my life that I never thought would happen. I have a great relationship with my family again. I have a great job again. I'm healthy, I'm happy, and like my worst day to day sober is definitely way better than some of the best days I've had using. So.
Right, thank you. What is your biggest fear, do you think?
I try to put fears to the side. I try not to think about, obviously the biggest fear would be relapsing again, but I've been through that, and I think my last relapse, after my overdose and when I went to the Bluff and relapsed after that was, one of the biggest lessons that I ever learned as well, though. So, fears can be healthy, but, my biggest fear is just, I lose everything again, but you got to work hard for what you want, so.
That's right, you do. And I have to say, as your mom, I'm so proud of you. I don't think I've ever seen the 11 months clean, and I look forward to that 1 year of you being completely clean. What do you see that your future holds, and what have you learned from all of this?
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about addiction, like I just said, over the past year of being clean, I've seen things come back that I, honestly thought I would never see again. I've seen, life come back, my great relationship with my family and my daughter, great jobs, just, my health, my happiness. And when you're in that darkness of addiction, you think it's never coming back. But, I hope, in the future that just more of this comes. I hope that I can help other people that have gone down the path I've gone, and, that I just gain more and just have, a healthy, happy life.
Chandler, I love you, and I want to say thank you for doing this. I'm really proud of you. Chandler will have his cell phone number on here as well as we already have ours. If you feel like you need to reach out, there are certain websites at the end of the last video that we are doing that will give you information that you can reach out to you to speak to someone. And as I stated in the first video, we're here to help you if you need any help. Thank you, and I love you.
Of course, love you.